1,973 from down in Nantucket. 105 customers affected in Bristol County. 91 customers in the Fall River area. Less than 5 in Easton and 13 in Westport. And 245 of them in Middlesex County. 244 of them up in Lowell, and less than 5 of them in Chelmsford. 50 customers in Norfolk, 39 in Weymouth, less than 5 in Rentham, and 9 up in Oldbrook, Gare, and less than 5 in Worcester County. And now for Rhode Island, dear. $117 customers in the dark with no power in Rhode Island, dear. And for Eversource. And for Eversource, 684 customers in the dark with no power here. All right. A blizzard warning remains effective until 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this evening. The location of extreme southeast Massachusetts, including Cape Cod and the islands. This includes the cities and towns of Brockton, Plymouth, Mattapoisett, Chatham, Falmouth, Provincetown, Vineyard Haven, and Nantucket. As hazard types, heavy wet snow and strong winds will likely result in tree damage and scattered power outages. Strong winds and heavy snow will create blizzard whiteout conditions at times. Accumulation of snow accumulation of 8 to 12 inches, along with localized higher amounts up to 14 inches possible as time and snow will fall. Heavy times start late afternoon and snow intensity will begin to diminish by early evening, but localized bands of moderate heavy snow persist in the overnight hours. Here, impact. Considerable fall on the blowing and drifting snow. Visibility will become poor. Whiteout conditions at times. Flows venture outdoors become lost. Additional snow person and warning to be advised of staying indoors. Heavy wet snow, strong winds will result in tree damage and power outages. Here, winds northeast at 20-30 miles gusts up to 60 miles an hour. Visibility is 1/4 mile or less at times. Precaution prefers actions out. Blizzard warning is issued when sustained winds at a frequent gusts over 35 miles are expected with considerable fall and blown and drifting snow. Visibility will become poor with whiteout conditions at times. Those venturing outdoors may become lost. Additionally, so persons in the warning area are advised to stay indoors. And blizzard warning remain effective until 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this evening. The locations blocked down. Hazard types heavy wet snow and strong winds will likely result in tree damage and scattered power. Just the strong winds that heavy snow will create blizzard and whiteout conditions at times. Accumulation snow accumulation at 6 to 8 inches as time and snow will fall heavy at times throughout the mid-afternoon. The heaviest snow will come to an end early this evening, but areas of light snow will continue into this overnight hours as impacts considerable fall and the blowing and drifting snow visibilities will become poor with whiteout conditions at times. Those venturing outdoors may become lost or additional, so persons in the warning area are advised to stay indoors as snowfall waits of 1 to 2 inches per hour. Also expect at times throughout the afternoon and heavy wet snow and strong winds that will result in treatment damage and scatter power, which is that winds northeast 25-35 miles with gusts up to 55 miles an hour. Visibility is 1/4 mile less at times. Temperature in the low 30s and a blizzard warning. And we're in the winter storm warning effect until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning for Bristol County, all of Rhode Island except for Brock Island, Eastern Connecticut, and South Central Connecticut, and Worcester County, and Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Winter storm warning remains effective until 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday. Look as heavy snow accumulation reported 8 inches of snow fall heavy at times throughout mid-afternoon before diminishing intensity by early evening. Travel impact will be slow and best well-treated service and quite typical on any part of treated services there. Winds north 10 to 15 miles and gusts up to 35 miles and temperature in the mid-20s. Visibility 1/4 mile an hour. At times, the prepared Paris actions and winter storm warnings issue when an average of 6 or more inches of snow expected in a 12-hour period for 8 more as in inches in 25 periods. Travel will be slow at best, so well-treated service and quite typical in any part of treated services there. Storm warning remains effective until 6 p.m. this evening for winds and seas and northeast winds by 25-35 knots with gusts up to 59 knots, seas 69 feet. A storm warning means winds of 48 to 63 knots and diminished to occur in which creation borders should rain import to take shelter until winds and waves subside. Commercial vessels should prepare for very strong winds and dangerous sea conditions and consider remaining in port to taking shelter in port until winds and waves subside. Coastal waters east of Ipswich Bay, Stillwagon Bank National Marine Sanctuary. Coastal waters from Provincetown, Massachusetts, Chatham, Massachusetts, and Nantucket, Massachusetts at 20 nautical miles. Coastal waters extend outward from 25 nautical degrees south of Mount Visibility and Nantucket. Coastal waters from New York to Martha's Vineyard extending out to 20 nautical meters south of Block-On. Storm remains affected until 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this evening. Winds and sea northeast winds about 25-35 knots with gusts up to 50 knots and seas 18 to 23 feet as a storm warning means winds of 48-62 knots. The mission of current recreation waters should remain in port or take shelter until winds and waves subside. Customers should prepare for very strong winds and dangerous sea conditions and consider remaining in port or taking shelter in port until winds and waves subside. Coastal flood warning remains effective until 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this evening. Locations: eastern Massachusetts coastline from Plymouth County south to Cape Cod and Nantucket. Coastal flooding in areas of moderate coastal flooding are expected during the late more than 9 tide cycle. Most vulnerable areas that would be experienced inundation above ground of 2 to 3 feet. And minor coastal flooding is likely during the high tide cycle and very late this evening, but today's high tide remains a bigger concern at the time of a couple of hours before and after late more than 9 tide cycle, especially 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Impacts moderate coastal flooding due to widespread flooding of vulnerable shore roads and embasements to the height of the storm center and weight action as sand and covered debris will likely be deposited along vulnerable shore wards. Some shore wards may likely be closed for at least 7 hours a day. Also, structure damage and may be observed with isolated damage to exposed decks. Docks will be weakened, sea walls, and possible lives may be at risk with people putting themselves in harm's way. As a coastal flood warning remains in the moderate, a major coastal flooding is expected. A moderate coastal flooding and produces widespread flooding on vulnerable shore wards and on basements through the head of the storm and tide over the wave action. The numerous road closures may be needed. The lives may be at risk for people who put themselves in harm's way. Isolated structural damage may be observed. A gale warning remains effective until 9 p.m. this evening for Rhode Sound and Block-On Sound, and wind speeds northeast winds about 20-30 knots with the wind gusts up to 45 knots, seas 7 to 10 feet as precaution previous actions as a gale warning means winds of 34-47 knots dimension or occurring. Operate vessel in gale conditions require experience and properly equipped vessels. It is highly recommended mariners without the proper experience of equipment to seek safe harbor prior to the onset of gale conditions here. Gale warning means effective 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this evening as winds and seas north about 15-25 knots, gusts of 25 knots, seas around 3 feet. Massive Japan, Isthmus Bay. Gale warning means effect until 10 p.m. Indian wind seas northeast winds 25-35 knots, gusts up to 45 knots, seas 30 to 18 feet. Boston Harbor. Gale warning remains effective until 9 p.m. this evening as winds and seas northeast winds about 15-25 knots, gusts up to 45 knots, seas 2 to 3 feet. National Weather Service is on to the winter weather advice for snow winds effective until 7 a.m. Eastern Time Tuesday. As the winter storm warning has been canceled. The locations: Hartford County, houses type snow, accumulation, snow accumulation 2 to 5 inches. The highest totals are the eastern southern parts of the county. As say snow by the early afternoon, then diminishing mid to late afternoon. Once we become snow covered and making travel difficult as northeast 10 to 15 miles per wind gusts up to 35 miles. Temperature in the mid 20s. Visibility 1/4 mile, 1/2 mile at times. Now, winter weather advisory is issued when snow and ice is forecast to be developed and infected areas, but accumulations are expected to be light. Any snow and ice will be resulting in slippery conditions on untreated roadways and sidewalks when temperatures are below freezing. Motorists need to be especially careful in bridges and overpasses where slippery spots can easily develop. Here. And that same goes for us. Western Massachusetts, including Springfield and Greenfield, and up in the southeastern New Hampshire and western Connecticut. Here. Coastal flood advisory remains effective until 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this evening for Martha's Vineyard in the North Shore of Massachusetts from Boston Norfolk to the Salisbury. Coastal flooding, minor coastal flooding is expected at time from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. today. And have around minor coastal flooding is possible very late this evening as impact minor coastal flooding on the most vulnerable shore roads and basements due to the height of storm and tidal wave and splash over. The majority of roads remain possible only isolated closures. There is no significant threat of the life and impact on property will be minimal as a coastal flood advisory is issued by minor coastal flooding the most vulnerable shore roads and basements due to the height of storm and tidal wave. Splash over. The majority of the roads may remain possible without isolated closures. There is no significant threat of life. Any impact on the property is minimal. All tide heights are real. Alright, 7-day forecast. It goes like this. For this afternoon, snow high near 31 degrees. North for about 14 to 18 miles gust size, 43 miles at Chesapeake is 1% total daytime circulation, 48 inches possible. Tonight, snow before 9 p.m., then a snow shower Maine before 9 p.m. and 4 a.m. Low at 19 degrees and open about 5 to 9 miles coming after midnight. Chesapeake is 9%. New storm accumulation 1 to 3 inches possible. Tuesday, Chesapeake snow showers class sky. How about 31 degrees and Copper north at 6 miles a day. Water. Chesapeake is 40%. New snow accumulation less than 1 inch possible. Tuesday, Chesapeake snow showers class sky. Low about 18 degrees. North about 5 miles. Company DVD. Chesapeake is 50%. New snow accumulation 1 to 3 inches possible. Wednesday, Chesapeake snow showers class sky with a High near 36 degrees at Cowboy Kevin and Westbound 5 miles in the day afternoon. Chest makes 4%. Wednesday at Chester Snow Showers moving before 11 p.m. Most skies got about 19 degrees. Chest makes 30%. Thursday at Chester Snow Showers between 11 a.m. and 4 a.m. Most skies got high about 31 degrees. Chest makes 30%. Thursday at podcast got about 7 degrees. Friday, most of the podcast got about 24, low about 9 degrees. Saturday, most of the podcast got about 19, about 4 below. Sunday, most of the got about 60 degrees. Here's what a phrase of the day. Messy Monday on tap. So stay inside and disappear alongside Barbara Susan and have a good afternoon. Goodbye. See you at 5 o'clock for 5 o'clock report.